So today, let's talk about the HomePod and how it hasn't been the greatest success for Apple. In fact, Apple reduced the price of the HomePod because they weren't shifting enough units, and if there's one thing you need to know about Apple, it's the fact they pretty much keep the price the same from day one. Check the site, there is pretty much never a sale, and so for Apple to reduce the price, that pretty much shows us that product isn't doing so well. Of course, this year, thankfully, it does seem like Apple is taking the HomePod lineup in the right direction with the cheaper, more accessible HomePod Mini at $99. I think that's a great move. But of course, there is the original HomePod in the lineup, and it's pretty much been the same since 2017, so some of you are probably eager to know about a successor to the HomePod, and so we do have some patents that have been revealed that could point us towards some interesting feature upgrades with future HomePod models. And so today, I thought I'd discuss them because they are pretty juicy, so without further ado, let's get into this. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and with that being said, let's just tuck in. So the first patent is a pretty wacky one. It's Face ID. It's Face ID on the HomePod. Yes, the same Face ID in your iPhone, in the iPad Pro, now in the HomePod. So obviously, some of you are probably wondering, why does Face ID need to be in a HomePod? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Well, this patent basically illustrates the idea that maybe Face ID could be used to recognize your face instead of recognizing your voice, as many smart assistants do right now. And I'll be honest, I think that's a pretty amazing idea, because as nifty as voice recognition sounds on paper, it doesn't really work that well in real life. I mean, I've used a plethora of smart home devices. I've used Alexa, Siri, Google Home, you name it, I've used it. And one universal issue I've had with all of these is when it comes to voice recognition and when I tell it to specifically recognize my voice and answer to my voice only. You see, after I go through the hassle of sorting all of this out, the voice recognition thing just doesn't work, and it pretty much lets anyone control my smart home stuff, which is obviously not what I want. So obviously, an ideal situation to this would be Face ID, because you can't trick a camera, and unless you have some sort of evil twin or a doppelganger, you should be fine, and Face ID should be way more secure and way more reliable than voice recognition. And so yes, I am very much in with this idea. Now, yes, there could be some privacy concerns because obviously cameras in your house, that's a little dodgy, and you don't want Timothy peeping into your house and seeing what's going on. So yes, there will be privacy concerns, and maybe Apple can give us some sort of privacy filter, some physical switch maybe to turn off the camera. But either way, I am looking forward to having Face ID. I think another great idea to go along with Face ID that isn't mentioned in the patents is maybe a screen on the HomePod. For example, this screen could maybe be unlocked by Face ID, and then boom, you have a quick rundown of your day with notifications, and then once you look away, boom, it's locked again, so any cheeky family members trying to delve into your personal info, they won't see any of it. That is a brilliant idea in my opinion, so Timothy, if you're watching, take the idea and run with it. To be honest, the more I think about it, it's just the Google Hub Max that Google sells, but this will have Face ID, so it will have that extra layer of security. Now, the next patent is gaze detection. Now, this is pretty revolutionary stuff. So basically, with this technology, you could look at your light, okay? And the HomePod will be able to see that you're looking at the light because it has Face ID and it has cameras, and then it'll just turn on the light. You just look at the light and the light will be turned on. That sounds insane. This honestly sounds like some next level Tony Stark technology, so I would be wary because this could just end up being a patent that never sees the light of day. But if this does somehow materialize, this will pretty much put Apple on the map for smart home devices. This would be actually some groundbreaking stuff, and I would probably buy a HomePod just for this feature, because imagine having this superpower. Imagine flexing to your friends. They come over to your house, obviously after this whole COVID thing, and then you show them this tech. In fact, don't tell them anything. Just say, hey, look at this new superpower. I just look at the light, boom, it's on. That's cool. I mean, you could pull many girls with this technology. So for that reason alone, I would definitely pay the extra for the HomePod Pro Max 5G or whatever they end up calling this. Now, of course, some of you may be wondering, isn't this really easy to manipulate? Because somebody could just stroll into your house and start looking everywhere and start turning on the oven, the microwave, and then the building's on fire, and then everything's gone. But do not worry, because Face ID comes into play. This is where the Face ID magic is, because it will look at your face, it will recognize your face, and then it will detect the gaze. So that should be perfect. I think this technology will work very well, and I am very much hoping this becomes real. And of course, besides the flexing, there are some practical benefits with this technology, such as people who can't speak, they can control their homes without speech, and also intruders who might come into your house and start controlling things for no reason, they can't because they can take everything but your face. So yes, Face ID comes to save the day. Again, I do want to say these are patents at the end of the day, and there is no indication that we could see these in future models, and so definitely temper your expectations, people, because we might not get all these cool features, and the next HomePod could literally be the same thing, except in an all-new space grey colour, because that's innovation. Also, let me remind you, none of this will fix the fact that Siri is just straight up dumb. So, you know, if anything, I think Apple should work on fixing Siri before they give us cool features like this. Anyways, I do hope the next version of the HomePod has some sort of innovative edge over the competition, because right now, amongst the two titans, which are obviously Google and Alexa, the HomePod doesn't really stand a chance unless you're super sucked in to the Apple ecosystem. And if Apple works on giving us cool features like this and also makes Siri smarter, then I will definitely pick up a HomePod, because they do sound really great. The audio quality has always been amazing, but it just lacks in the smart part. So yes, hopefully they too improve upon that in future models. But tell me in the comments below, what smart speaker device system thingy do you use? Do you use Alexa, Google Home, or HomeKit? And on that note, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you, peeps.